What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, bringing home the bacon MLB DFS video. It is Saturday. It is August 19th, and we are back with a full breakdown for you. We've got all the games. We're going to touch on everything, pitchers, batters, everything on the website. If you haven't been to the website, FantasyTeamAdvisors.com is the website. You can go to FTA Plus. We go through a lot of things. We're going to go through everything possible, but if you need a little bit more help after it all said and done, FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, FTA Plus, $24.99 for a month, or you can use the promo code NFLVIP, get $100 off the yearly pass, normally $199, get it for $99. So, if you've been here before, you know. If any video gets at least 50 likes, you leave a comment and you're a subscriber, you have a chance to win a free week of DFS content. Anytime a video gets 100 likes, same thing, you have a chance to win a free month. 125 likes is a chance to win a free year, and 150 likes is a chance to win a free lifetime pass. You can win multiple times, multiple days in a row. Yesterday we had 73 likes, so this is going to pick the person to win the free week of DFS content. So let's check it out and see who it is. Congratulations. I believe that's 2 days in a row. This is what I'm talking about. 2 days in a row. This is what I'm talking about, guys. You can leave a comment. You can randomly be chosen every single day. Congratulations yet again. Just let me know you saw it, and then hit us up on Twitter or our email, dfshelp1@gmail.com, and we'll get you set up even more. So congratulations yet again. You guys can also win. Good luck to everybody. So we have a full slate. It's 15 games. It's going to be split up because it's a Saturday, so there's some early, there's some normal main time. So we're going to look at that. So first game on the slate, the Red Sox at the Yankees. Cutter Crawford versus Garrett Cole. You never know what's going to happen. The Yankees, they're terrible this year. It's crazy to see. We'll look at these numbers here. So, looking at Cutter Crawford here, down at 6,900. Game logs, kind of very iffy. He's had two great matchups in a row versus Detroit and Kansas City. Hasn't gone 5 innings in those games. Has given up runs. Hasn't really struck out enough. Now he's facing the Yankees, which on paper he should get rocked, but the Yankees have been absolutely terrible. Hasn't faced the Yankees this year. Looking at this away games, he is better on the road. I don't know what to think about this game. This is one that I'm just very confused about because on paper, he's had 2 good games in a row where he should have did good. He didn't. Now he's got a game against the Yankees where he might not do good, but he could because the Yankees they've lost 6 in a row, I think. Their offense looks terrible. They are still too stupid to call up their kids from the farm and just let them play. They're not going to make the playoffs. I don't know why they continue to think they're going to. There's nothing in front of them but the end of the season. I don't know what's going on. Just call up the kids, let them play. Quit trotting out Severino, quit trotting out Jake Bowers. It's not working. Depending what lineup comes out for the Yankees, you could see. Overall, you could see Cutter Crawford's face 29 current Yankees bats, 250 batting average, 27.6 K percentage, just hasn't faced them this year. And then Garrett Cole, on the other hand, we know what we're getting out of Garrett Cole. There's a chance he wins a Cy Young on one of the worst teams in the league. This year against Miami, 6 innings, 2 earned runs, but this is one where he went the distance where he needed to go for 6 innings. They pulled him after 99 pitches, and then the bullpen gave up 5 runs in the bottom of the ninth to lose the game, which is nuts. He left with a comfortable lead. Let's put it that way. A 7-3 lead. Yeah, but he's still good. Boston's very up and down. He's faced him once this year, 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 16.1 fantasy points per game. So not his best performance, 6 Ks, but I'd still look at him here. 11,700, he is going to be expensive. He's almost 2,000 more than the next person, so that's something to look at. But the offense is what I just don't understand, and that's what we're going to look at real quick. So for Boston, really just depends on the lineup that comes out there. But Rafi Devers, if you look at this, Devers' BVP is amazing, I believe. I want to say he's got like 5 home runs against him or more. Let's see. No, 7. So yeah, Devers is 10 for 35 against Cole, 1 double and 7 home runs. He just absolutely destroys him. Don't be surprised if he hits a home run here. This might be one of my home run picks for the day. You can see some Verdugo home run, Duvall, Story. I wouldn't use Story. He just hasn't been on right now. But Devers is one of the best hitters on this team right now. Had a really good Friday. Just hits Garrett Cole really well. Tristan Casas kind of had a quiet game, but he's one that I would look at. I would look at Jarren Duran here. Yoshida had a big home run in the first inning yesterday, lefty on righty matchup. I don't mind him. Verdugo, like I said, a little bit. Those probably would be it. Maybe a little bit of Justin Turner. So looking at Boston, Devers, Casa, Duran, Turner, Yoshida, and maybe Verdugo would be the bats. And then if you want to look at the Yankees bats, because it's going to be contrarian, because no one's going to be on them because they're terrible. Judge obviously had his first home run at Yankee Stadium yesterday since May 28th, I believe. Stanton is very up and down right now. I don't know if I could trust him. I wouldn't use Bowers. LeMahieu just seems to he's grounding out all the time right now. Higashioka brings nothing to the plate. Torres I would look at. McKinney I wouldn't look at. Volpe I'd look at. IKF has been one of the main cogs in this offense that's actually doing something. I would look at there. So in this game, I think Cole's your cash option, but just watch out for those home runs in this game. Cutter Crawford maybe in tournaments just because of how bad the Yankees have been this year. Royals at the Cubs is next. Brady Singer versus Justin Steele. Singer, 41 plate appearances, 297. Steele's never faced the Royals before. Kind of looking at this, you got Brady Singer versus the Cubs game logs. We used him against Seattle his last start, and he came through for us. 7.1 innings, 200 runs, 8 Ks. Hasn't faced Chicago this year, obviously. Only 41 total. Pitching on the road, he is worse on the road at 6.52 ERA. The Cubs have been hitting. I don't think I can trust Singer. Then Justin Steele here on this end. Game logs, pretty consistent. You're seeing, he's only going, 5 or 6 innings though. That's the problem. He's had back-to-back 7 Ks and then 6 K there. Now he's facing Kansas City, but Kansas City's been hitting pretty good. Bobby Witt Jr. is absolutely on fire right now. I don't know if I can pay up for Steele just because Kansas City's actually been doing pretty good lately. So I think I'm going to have to avoid the pitching in this game, and I think I'd look at the bats in this game, which consist of Bobby Witt's going to be the number 1 bat for me against Justin Steele. I would look at Salvi Perez. I would look at MJ Melendez. Yeah. Garcia a little bit. Michael Massey a little bit. Maybe Freddie Furman. Flip side on the Cubs bats. Wisdom, like I've said, he's either hit or miss. He's either home run or not. Chris Morel I would use. Suzuki I would use. Dansby Swanson has been everything that they've wanted. If you've been with us before, if Mike Tauchman is at leading off, I love me some Mike Tauchman, and Bellinger as well for the Cubs bats. That's what I would use in this game. I don't know if I can trust either pitcher, though. That's the problem. Next one, the Marlins at the Dodgers. You got Yuri Perez versus Caleb Ferguson. Perez. Why isn't it on this slate? What? Okay, I'm very confused. We can't use the Marlins at the Dodgers game. Why? What are we missing? We did that one. We did that one. These two are missing. So these games aren't playable? Miami at the Dodgers are not playable. Diamondbacks at San Diego. Not playable either because they're makeup games. Wild. Or can we? Miami at the Dodgers, we can. Okay. Arizona at San Diego, we can, but they're on the main slate. They're just... Okay. Well, we'll get out of here. Well, we'll look at this on the main slate anyway. So, yeah, this game's not there. Then we got Marlins at the Dodgers, Braxton Garrett versus Urias, which, whatever reason, we'll look at that real quick before. This is going to be a little messed up, but yeah. Okay, very confusing. Yuri Perez is here. See, this one's messed up because it's showing Braxton Garrett as the main one, as the night game, and then it's showing Yuri Perez as the 3 p.m. game, but then they have Yuri Perez here on the main slate. So this is one that I would definitely pay attention to because you could get screwed over here badly. There is no banner or announcement right here, right now. They could bring that there. So we'll look at the games real quick, but we're not going to dig in. Yuri Perez, if he's on the slate that you can use, I would use Yuri Perez for tournaments because we know that the Dodgers can hit well. Perez has been good overall in his career this year so far. If you're not using that, I would use the Dodgers bats. I think, Muncy, Outman, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, those are ones that I would use. Marlins have actually been hitting really well. Marlins bats, Jorge Soler I would use, Brian De La Cruz, Jesus Sanchez I would use. Marlins have been putting up runs. They put up runs yesterday. I think we could be looking at that again. So that is one I'd look at if you can play this game. Right now, I don't think we can. But that is something I would use. I would look at the Marlins against the lefty and feel confident about that. Kind of the same thing here. I wouldn't use Braxton Garrett. I would use I think there's going to be a high-scoring game here. I would use the Marlins bats here against Urias. Again, the same ones I would be using there. And then Dodgers bats against Braxton Garrett, Mookie Betts, Max Muncy, Freddie Freeman, JD Martinez. I would be using those. Kike Hernandez, if he's in there, I'd be using those. Again, be very careful when you're building your lineups. We don't know which game the pitcher is actually going to be. This could be incorrect and DraftKings could be right, or this could be correct and DraftKings is wrong. Then you get screwed over because you use the wrong pitcher in the wrong slate and they get you a goose egg. That's why I hate rainouts when they come through here. So be careful with that one. But yeah, so the Diamondbacks at the Padres is a 3 p.m. Eastern, but it's not in this game. They've got it here. They've got it as 7:40. So maybe they moved it up because there's a possibility of rain, and I just don't know. But yeah, Merrill Kelly versus to be announced because this is the second game. This is one where we're very confused. I don't know what to do with this one. We're probably going to avoid this one. It'll be on the website once everything's updated and everything. So that is definitely something to check out. Also forgot to mention, fantastic ways to support the channel. Like the videos, hit the bell notification so you know when we either go live or the video goes live. Watching the ads or clicking on the ads definitely helps us out. We even got a super thanks or super chat in yesterday's video. Bearded Geese, thank you so much for the super chat. That was awesome. Unexpected, not expected, but if that's a fantastic way to help the channel out as well. Thank you so much for that. Those are the ways. Go into our website, FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, clicking on the articles there for the views. That helps us out. And obviously donating. Our Cash App is down below. We also have Venmo and PayPal if you guys are interested in that. Or the big one, obviously, signing up for FTA+. Those are all huge. So I don't know what this game's going to consist of. I don't know why it's at a different time on Fanduel or on DraftKings. But yeah, Merrill Kelly. So we've got, it's very confusing. They're back-to-back here. We've got Merrill Kelly versus to be announced, and then to be announced versus Yu Darvish, which we don't know which one's going to be there. But that being said, Merrill Kelly game logs, a really good game at Colorado. We did use him as a very contrarian tournament, and it came through. 6 innings, 11 Ks in Colorado. It's amazing. Looking at that, he now has a matchup against San Diego. He has faced them one time this year, 5 innings pitched, 4 earned runs. Didn't get us what we needed out of that one, a 7.20 ERA. I probably wouldn't use Merrill Kelly here. This is a pitcher's park, though, but I still wouldn't trust it here. And then if it's Yu Darvish in this slate, actually, let's see. Game log has been kind of, iffy here. 7 innings against Baltimore, 4 earned runs, 6 Ks. Then Seattle, 6 innings, 1 run, 4 Ks. Not bad, but we still need these 32.5. We need the 30-plus games. Splits-wise, he's faced Arizona twice this year, 10.2 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 8 Ks out of their 169. We could look at the bats, depending on what it is, who it is, and what matchup it is. This is one where be very careful. This is a weird little day. But yeah, if Tommy Pham's facing a lefty, I'm on him, but he's not. Buddy Kennedy would be a contrarian tournament option, very cheap option. I would look at Ketel Marte. I would look at Corbin Carroll, Moreno, and Gurriel Jr., maybe a little bit of Christian Walker. And then Padres bats against Merrill Kelly. Juan Soto's absolutely on fire, especially against righties. Fernando Tatis is on fire. I'd look at Trent Grisham and Machado. I would look at Cronenworth a little bit, and Ha-Seong Kim is what I would look at here, if you're not going with either of these pitchers in these games. Then you got Philly at Washington, which brings us back to the early slate. Don't know why. Christopher Sanchez versus Jake Irvin. Sanchez has been pretty decent for us overall. 37 plate appearances, though, against the Nats, 343 batting average. So we can look at that. Sanchez, not bad against Minnesota, not good against Kansas City, good against Pittsburgh and Baltimore. He's faced Washington once this year. 6 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 150 ERA, which is good, fantastic. We saw Michael Lorenzen get absolutely demolished by them, though, yesterday, which makes no sense, but makes sense at the same time because it's MLB DFS. That's MLB in a nutshell, basically. Sanchez on the road, he's got a way better ERA. Only 3 starts on the road compared to 8 at home. 0.60 ERA, 15.1 fantasy points per game. So not bad. I think people are going to be off of him because Washington just put up what they did against Lorenzen. I want a little bit of exposure to Sanchez, especially on a slate like this where there's not a ton of pitching. And then Jake Irvin, on the other hand, I'm not trusting him. Had a good game against Oakland, an okay game against Cincy, but that's basically it. Hasn't faced Philly this year. Pitching at home, he's got a 4.61 ERA at home, 12 home runs at home. So I would definitely look at Philly here. I would look at Schwarber, Trey Turner, Nick Castellanos. I would look at Alec Boehm. Probably would be the one bats that maybe Stott a little bit. But in this matchup, that's what I would look at. I would look at Sanchez and the Phillies bats over Jake Irvin and the Nats bats. And then Milwaukee at Texas, you got Freddie Peralta versus Dane Dunning. Peralta only faced 17 of the current Rangers bats. Dane Dunning only faced 20. So they really haven't seen the opposing team that much. Looking at it, they're basically close to the same price. We actually used Dunning in San Francisco his last start. If you watch that video, taking a decent to good pitcher against San Francisco in San Francisco, it's a fantastic pitcher's park. Looking at this, a really good game there. Not a good game against Oakland, really. Really good game against the White Sox. So up and down. Splits-wise, hasn't faced Milwaukee this year. Pitching at home, a 3.23 ERA, so he is worse at home, but it's still 3.23. I don't mind him for tournaments. I don't trust him in cash, though. And then Peralta, it's hard to know what Texas team's going to come out and how he's going to face. Had a good game against Chicago. Had a really good game against Colorado. Hasn't faced Texas this year. He's throwing on the road where he does have a worse ERA, and he is going up against a good team. I'm probably going to have to avoid Peralta just due to his price. Yeah, I'm paying up for, in this slate here, I'm paying up for Cole. I'm not paying for Peralta. Probably not paying for Steele. I'd pay a little bit for Dunning, Sanchez, and Crawford here for these pitchers here. So if you aren't going with either pitcher for Milwaukee or Texas, we can look at the bats that we would like, who's been hot, who's been not. Milwaukee side, Christian Yelich obviously has a resurgence year. We'd look at William Contreras. I would look at Carlos Santana, Mark Canha a little bit, Willy Adames. I know he's more blue, but I'd look at maybe Sal Frelick a little bit too. And then if we're not using Milwaukee and you want to go with Texas bats, Seager's, he almost had a huge day yesterday. He almost had a home run in the bottom of the ninth Missed it at the wall. I mean, he's been absolutely on fire. I would look at Dolis Garcia. Nate Lowe I would look at. Jonah Heim I would look at. Marcus Semien I'd look at. Maybe Jankowski a little bit as well, if you're not going with either pitcher in this slate. Tampa Bay at the Angels. This isn't on the slate. Or it is. What is with the times? What is with the times here? I'm very confused on what's going on here. Let me check something. Let me pause it real quick. Why are there so many double headers today? There's so many. This is another one. We've got this one here, and then they play here. So you've got to figure out which player is actually on what slate. There's so many games today. I'm very, very confused. And there's weather in this game. There's also weather in the San Diego game. Where there's weather in the Dodgers game. It's going to rain in California. Looking at this, yeah, so you can't even play, we can't even play this one. These two pitchers aren't on the slate. They're not on the main slate, so we have to avoid this game completely. We look at this matchup. You got Eflin versus Sandoval for the Angels and the Rays. Eflin, 43 plate appearances, 268. Sandoval, 35 plate appearances, 156 out of him. So, looking at Eflin, he's 9,100. Game logs, yeah, against Cleveland. That's where I'm going to tell you, we used him. He had a good matchup against Cleveland because they were Jose Ramirez less. And guess what? He minus 5.3, especially at 9,700. They dropped him down to 9,100. The Angels, I don't trust him at this price anyway. Splits-wise, hasn't faced the Angels this year. In his career, only 43 times. Away games, he's worse on the road at 4.71. They're on the other side of the way the Angels hit yesterday. I would look at the Angels' bats over Zach Eflin. I don't trust him. Patrick Sandoval, on the other hand, finding Patrick Sandoval here, game log, not a good game against Texas, but that's Texas. San Francisco, a good game, not a good game against Atlanta, good game against Detroit, good game against New York. He's pitching well against bad teams, and he's getting hit by good teams. Splits-wise, hasn't faced Tampa Bay this year. Only 35 plate appearances total out of him. Pitching at home, he's worse at home. Probably not taking pitching in this one. Probably taking bats in this one. So let's take a look. It's going to be this matchup here, Eflin versus Sandoval. Look at Yandy Diaz. I would look at Arozarena, Luke Raley, all against righties. Love them there. Harold Ramirez a little bit I would look at. Paredes and Siri, I don't mind. I would look at those. If you're not going with Eflin, you're looking at Angels. Obviously, Ohtani had a massive grand slam yesterday. I'd look at Ohtani. Nolan Schanuel, I would look at. Going to be very cheap. Drury, I would look at. That's probably it. Maybe Logan O'Hoppe, maybe for tournaments, but I would still focus on Ohtani, Schanuel, and Drury probably if I'm looking at that. But I'd probably have Tampa Bay bats a little bit more than I would have Angels bats. But I will. Ohtani's got to be in there as well. Blue Jays at the Reds. Is this on the main slate? What is going on? This is a really weird slate, guys. Or day, I'm not going to lie. So this game's not on the slate. Probably wouldn't use pitching in this one because it is Great American Small Park. I would definitely be looking at the bats. So let's just look at the bats. We'll cover those bats just to get that out of the way too. I would use Chapman, Guerrero. Brandon Belt would be a tournament-only option for me. Same thing with Danny Jansen's actually came through for us when we've used him against a lefty, and now he's going up against Brandon Williamson. I don't mind him. I would use George Springer in this ballpark. I could see this being a very high-scoring ballpark. And then you got the Reds. If you're not using Chris Bassett, Joey Votto, I would look at Ellie De La Cruz. I believe Strand had a walk-off yesterday. I would look at him. I would look at Matt McClain. Spencer Steer a little bit. That'd probably be it for those bats. in this game. I wouldn't use either pitcher. I just don't trust either pitcher in this ballpark. We can't use them. They're not on the main slate, and they weren't on the early slate either, so it's in the afternoon. That would be what I'd look at. I wouldn't use either pitcher. I would look at both of the sides of the bats in this one. Detroit at Cleveland. Matt Manning versus Tanner Bibby. Let's go. They're finally on this slate, not a weird slate. Manning, not much. Obviously, not a good game against Tampa Bay. Okay game against Pittsburgh. Okay game against Boston. Not a good game against the Angels. Hasn't faced Cleveland this year. Pitching on the road. He is better on the road. 3.89 ERA in 7 more games. So he is better on the road. It is Cleveland without Jose Ramirez. Tournament-wise, I'm okay with that, but I don't trust him. Tanner Bibby, on the other hand, pretty good games back-to-back. Toronto, Tampa Bay. Has faced Detroit once this year. Only went 3.2 innings in that start. 4 earned runs. Didn't do good there. 9.82 ERA. Detroit's might be sneaky stack. It's crazy to think about, but looking at this, might be a sneaky stack. Torkelson, Riley Green, I would use. Kerry Carpenter would be a one for me. Jake Rogers as a tournament option, I don't mind. Ibanez and Matt Verling, I would use for tournament. So I think Detroit would be a great tournament team. Flip side of that, Guardians bats. Yeah, Ramirez is out. There's not much to like here. I'm probably not going with Cleveland bats at all. I don't trust them enough. I'd use Matt Manning for tournaments. I wouldn't use Bibby. And I would use the Tigers as a sneaky, I think, contrarian stack today. Mariners at the Astros. You got Logan Gilbert versus Framber Valdez. Logan Gilbert is right here at 8,800, going up against the Astros. Not a good game against Kansas City. Fantastic matchup for him. Kansas City's been hitting. They hit really well in this matchup. He's faced Houston once this year. 7 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 1.29 ERA, and 27.4 fantasy points. That was back on 7-9, right before the All-Star break, at Houston. So he's back at Houston. Splits-wise, away games, he is better on the road. Tournament, I don't mind him, but it is the Astros. They are a very good team. We know that. Framber Valdez, he is expensive. We did not use him in his last start against Miami. And at that price, at over 10,000, it worked out because he only got 15 fantasy points. In that game, he did go 7.2 innings, but gave up 4 runs, 3 of them earned, with only 4 Ks. So not like his his no-hitter here against Cleveland. He's still expensive. Seattle's been kind of hitting lately. He's faced him once this year, 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 17.3 fantasy points. So not too bad, but honestly, at this price, I don't know if I want to pay up at this price. Maybe Seattle in the series against Kansas City, they did pretty well. Before that, though, they've been struggling since the All-Star break. So depending on what Seattle team we get, Valdez might be able to pay off his price, but you might be able to pay down a little bit for like a Singa or a Logan Webb. I wouldn't against Atlanta, but you might be able to. I don't know. It'll just depend on how the day goes with Valdez, if I'm priced out on him or not. Obviously, we kind of know the bats that we would use in this game, but we'll look at it. Obviously, with the Astros bats, I would look at Kyle Tucker, Jose Altuve, Yordan Alvarez, Diaz if he's starting. I don't mind. Chas McCormick, John Singleton for tournaments. If we're going with Mariners bats against Valdez, Julio has been heating up lately. Eugenio Suarez against the lefty, I'm always in on. Same thing with Teoscar Hernandez. Cal Raleigh, the big dumper, I would look at as well. Ty France for tournaments, I don't mind. I don't mind Dylan Moore either. So I don't know which pitcher I will go with. At the moment, I might lean towards neither of them and go with the bats over this. But you could get a little bit of exposure. I think Gilbert will go under owned because he is going up against Houston. He has had success against them before, but Houston can hit anybody. So that is one I would look at. Next game, Pirates at the Twins. You got Mitch Keller versus Sonny Gray. Mitch Keller has been terrible this year for the most part. Game logs, had a good game against Cincy, not a good game against Atlanta, not a good game against Milwaukee, a good game against Philly, And then he had a stretch here with not good games. Splits-wise, hasn't faced Minnesota this year. Comes in with a 4.27 ERA, 9-8 record. On the road, he is worse on the road at 5 ERA, averaging less fantasy points per game as well. But Minnesota is Minnesota. Carlos Correa's day-to-day, every day lately, so that's something to look at. Then you got Sonny Gray. What Sonny Gray are we going to get? 8,700. Game log, he's had 3 really good games in a row against Philly, Detroit, and St. Louis. Not a good game, or an okay game against Kansas City, but it didn't pay off his salary. Not a good game against the White Sox. Splits-wise, hasn't faced Pittsburgh this year. They aren't very good. He should be in store for a good game here. He's pitching at home, which he does have a slightly better ERA. At his price, I don't mind Sonny Gray. Around him, 8,700, I'd rather pay for Sonny Gray than Keller and Gilbert and Kelly and Bibby. Kind of, if I'm in the 8,000 range, I'm looking at Sonny Gray there. If you're not going with either pitcher and you want to look at the bats in this game, Brian Hayes, you could look at Jack Sawinski, Brian Reynolds. You could look at Kutch and Connor Joe a little bit, maybe a little bit of Henry Davis. But I'm probably going with Sonny Gray in this one. If you're not going with Keller, Joey Gallo, again, hit or miss. He's going to hit a home run or not. He would be a tournament-only option. You could look at Max Keller, Solano. I really only like Jeffers when it's against a lefty. Correa, if he's in, but that's something to look at. Edward Julian, I love him. Love me some Julian there. That's probably what I would look at there. I'd rather go Sonny Gray, though, against Pittsburgh, and then look at some of the Twins bats. But again, Twins might not even be a stack that I'm looking at, but those would be the bats that I'd look at if you're focusing in on this game. Mets at the Cardinals, Kodai Senga versus Miles Mikolas. Senga's faced him one time, obviously this year. Looking at his game log, pretty good 2 games in a row against Chicago. He had a good game against Atlanta, too. Splits-wise, he's faced St. Louis once this year, 6.2 innings pitched, 4 earned runs, so he did get hit by them. But this is one where I'm very confused about because this is why MLB DFS is so hard. He had not a good game against them as one time he's faced them, but now, was that in St. Louis? No, that was at home, which is a pitcher's park. 18.8, so he didn't do too bad, but his price was $10,600. So he is less at $9,700. Pitching on the road, he is worse on the road. I'm probably avoiding him. He is $9,700, so he's the second highest priced pitcher. I don't know. I think St. Louis could come through on him. I don't trust him enough. Mikolas, I don't trust enough either, but he is going up against the Mets. Let's take a look at Mikolas. Looking at him at 6,600 game logs. Yeah, not good against Oakland. Tampa Bay, okay. Minnesota, good game. Not a good game against the Cubs. 2 back-to-back. Splits-wise, he's faced New York Mets once this year. 6 innings pitched, 6 earned runs. I don't like that at all. Yeah, I'm probably avoiding. I wouldn't use Miles Mikolas here either. Pitching at home, he's still got a worse ERA. So looking at that, you could be looking at the bats. I think for the Mets bats, Brandon Nimmo, I would look at. Depending, Francisco Alvarez, I don't mind. Lindor, obviously. Pete Alonso, I would look at as well. Maybe a little bit of Rafael Ortega, but I doubt that's doubtful. And then Cardinals bats, if you're not using Senga. Wilson Contreras, if he's in there, I don't mind. Paul Goldschmidt, Jordan Walker. Burleson, I don't mind. Tyler O'Neill, Tommy Edmond. I would use Mason Wynn, is still cheap. Made his debut yesterday. I don't know if he's going to be playing, so that's definitely something to look at, but that's what I would look at there. Probably avoiding both of these pitchers. I'd rather take the offenses. Giants at the Braves, Logan Webb versus Yanni Chirinos. Logan Webb's the 3rd highest priced pitcher. Excuse me. Had a good game against Texas. You're getting about 6 to 7 strikeouts a game, probably. Atlanta hasn't faced them this year. Overall, has faced 67 plate appearances, 226 batting average. In that game, though, his game, 8.2 innings, almost they pulled him against Texas. Had a good game against Texas. Had some good games here. I think he would be a contrarian option. Now, obviously, we know Atlanta's really good, he could come through for us. We'd need more. We need, probably about 7 or 8 strikeouts to make me feel confident. Pitching on the road, he is worse on the road, though, and it's in Atlanta. It's hot and humid. The ball will fly out of there. Tournaments, I'm okay with Webb, but again, I'm a little bit scared of that because we know. I'd rather take Atlanta bats. Every single bat in Atlanta I would take. I wouldn't take Yonny Chirinos, and I wouldn't take the Giants bats, but I would take any of the bats for Atlanta. Doesn't matter. Just wait for the lineup to come out, and that's who I'd go with there. White Sox at the Rockies. I'm not taking either of these. I'm taking both offenses. Let's just look at the offenses. White Sox at Colorado. We saw Colorado put up 14 runs on them yesterday against at home. Yeah, I'm not looking at either. I would look at Andrew Vaughn. I would look at Luis Robert, who didn't do anything yesterday. I would look at Grandal, maybe a little bit Oscar Colas, Andrew Benintendi. Flip side of that, against Chicago, I would look at Nolan Jones, Ryan McMahon, Brendan Rodgers. I would look at Diaz, maybe a little bit of Tovar. I don't mind Tovar. Charlie Blackmon as well. Those would be the bats I'd look at. I don't want anything to do with either of these pitchers in Colorado. I want the offenses there. I think I like the Colorado offense, just like last night. I think I like them a little bit more than I do the White Sox. Then the final game's actually kind of early. It's 9:07. You got Cole Irvin versus Ken Waldichuk. Irvin, 30 plate appearances, 346 against the A's. This is one where on paper it should be good for him, but he's down here at 5,500. He's got a good matchup against Oakland, but he had a good game at Seattle. Went 5 innings in that game. He needs to go at least 5 innings. I don't mind Irvin for tournaments at 5,500. He allows you to pay up for everything. He is better on the road. He has faced Oakland once this year, though, in a start, 4 innings, 6 earned runs. 13.50 ERA. I'll throw him in tournaments. So, yeah, looking at it, I kind of think, tournament-wise, 5,500, I will take him against Oakland, but he hasn't had success against Oakland this year. But he could always turn it around, especially since he just had a good game against Seattle, and Seattle's obviously better than Oakland. But other than that, that's his first start. They're going to move with a 6-man rotation. He gets to face his old team. So I kind of like this situation here. Splits-wise, I'm looking at Cole Irvin. At 5,500, all you need are, 10 fantasy points out of him. Obviously, we'd like more than that, but he could get 10 out of there. At 5,500, you're going to be able to pay up at every other position. So you don't always need to have that home run hitter, that perfect game pitcher. You can get a pitcher at cheap there at 5,500. You just got to make a good combination of the bats around there. And then Ken Waldichuk against Baltimore. I want nothing really to do with him. Game log-wise, not a good game, or an okay game. Well, not bad, actually, at his price at 5,400. I think he could be looking at his numbers, tournament-wise, I don't mind him. He's faced Baltimore once this year, 6.1 innings, 3 earned runs, only 4 Ks, 11.5 fantasy points. This could be another one where, Baltimore, we obviously know Baltimore's really good this year. Got really good hitters. At 5,300, though, you could do some damage at some bats. Like, just look at this. I'm not saying this is what I would go with, but I'm looking at this, and then you could go in a 4,900 average at every position. Outside of, outfield, catcher, you could get anywhere from Cal Raleigh down. First base, kind of the same thing. You're looking at Cronenworth and down. So, kind of looking at that. I'm not saying both of these, but either of them at that price, I don't mind. It'd be a cheap option. I think a lot of people will be off of them. If they can get you at least 10 fantasy points, you'll be okay with that. But yeah, the bats wise, obviously I would be looking at the Orioles bats over Oakland, and we'll see what we're talking about there. Rushman's obviously at the top of my list here. Gunnar Henderson, I don't mind, even lefty on lefty matchup. Mountcastle a little bit. Santander being a switch hitter, I don't mind. Mateo, I probably would avoid. Westberg, no. McCann, probably not. Hayes, Urias, probably not. So, yeah, if I'm looking at Baltimore bats, it'd be Henderson, Mountcastle, Santander, Rushman, maybe Aaron Hicks, but I don't even know if Aaron Hicks has been playing. Let's see. He's day-to-day. Oh, yeah, so he was out for 3 weeks hurt. That makes sense. Seeing him on the Yankees, he's always hurt. Weird, he's hurt again. So, yeah, he's played one game. That was Monday. So, yeah, he's probably not even in. At 2,500, if he's in, okay, but he's got a hamstring problem now. Or a back problem. Yeah, he's probably not even in. He's probably on the IL yet again. So, I would steer clear from him. I wouldn't use him. Yeah, honestly, I think you could be sneaky option both of these pitchers. I think Irvin has the upper hand here, especially against this team. But you could be sneaky there. So, that is the breakdown. I know it was a jumbled mess. If this is the first time you've been here, it's not usually like this. There are just so many doubleheaders today that it was very confusing. I don't think I've ever seen this many doubleheaders on one slate. Very, very confusing. We will be back. Don't put it against us. We will be back tomorrow with hopefully a better breakdown a little bit. But we are going to go over, and I don't remember if I mentioned this, but we simulate players. We do 10,000 simulations a day. In this video, we've done 2,000. These are the top 10 batters after 2,000 simulations. It will change. It will be up to 10,000 after this. Towards about an hour before the main slate locks, normally we throw them out there. Today it's going to be a little bit earlier because I'll be traveling today. So everything I will be putting out on the website will be early. But yeah, so these are through 2,000 simulations. By the end of the day, we'll have 10,000. If you have questions, we'll do let's do the top 13 bats because I really wanted to show you the bats here. Obviously, at the end of the day, we'll have 10,000. We'll do both batters and pitchers. We have a lot going on the website under the MLB tab. You got player projections, batter splits, BVP, stolen base. We have a ton of information there. So check that out. And we are going to start doing NFL content this week is when I'm going to start releasing. Kind of been waiting for, a couple of the preseason games to get in there, the Hall of Fame game, the training camps, to see who's going to be hurt, see the competitions for the quarterbacks, who's going to be starting. We're going to start getting through that now. Also, in the description is the DraftKings link for the NFL contest that we've got going on, $10 a week, 200 total spots. If all spots fill every week, first place prize is $580, and the top 5 all get paid. So good luck to everybody, and let's check out the top 10 bats and pitchers. Mookie Betts is number 1 against Garrett here. Braxton Garrett. Max Kepler against Mitch Keller. Ha-Sung Kim versus Merrill Kelly. Julio Rodriguez versus Framber Valdez. Donovan Solano versus Mitch Keller. We got Jock Peterson versus Chirinos. We got Wilmer Flores versus Chirinos. We got Michael Conforto versus Chirinos. Then you got Luis Robert Jr. versus Kyle Freeland. You got Bobby Witt versus Justin Steele. Ronald Acuna versus Webb. And Aaron Judge versus Cutter Crawford. So those are the top 13 bats as of now. They will probably update and change once we get through the entire day and we simulate 10,000 times. Pitcher-wise, now this just is overall on the day. It's not main slate. It's not early slate. It's not afternoon slate. It's just overall. So right now it's got Tyler Glasnow as the number 1 pitcher of the day against the Angels. And then Zach Eflin is the number 2 pitcher. Number 3 is Chase Silseth versus Tampa Bay. Number 4 is Freddie Peralta versus Texas. Number 5 is Kodai Senga versus St. Louis. Number 6 is Sonny Gray versus Pittsburgh. Number 7 is Chris Bassett versus Cincy, which I don't trust that. Number 8 is Logan Gilbert versus the Astros. 9 is Yu Darvish versus Arizona. 10 is Patrick Sandoval versus Tampa Bay. So those are the pitchers. Those are the bats. They will update and change throughout the day. So definitely go check out FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, FTA Plus. Support the channel. Thank you for checking this video out. If you found it helpful, informative, anything like that, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let's bring home some bacon today, guys. Peace.